Right, hello vinyl community, it's Richard S. I wanted to start off kind of introducing you all to me and talk about some of the music and albums that kind of make up my musical taste so that you get to know me and I get to know you. I was sort of a child of the 60s, so I've been around for a while. I have a lot of records, so narrowing this down to a few was tricky, but I wanted to try and start something called Take Five, where we talk about five albums on a theme. So this theme being music that influenced your music tastes over time. So being a child of the 60s, I grew up in a house full of Elvis. We played Elvis. I danced to Elvis. I remember hearing this album when I was 4 years old, and it changed my life as far as like, this is what I want to listen to. I want to move. I want to have fun. Music soothes the soul. I still believe that to this day. So Elvis took me all the way up till I was about maybe 13, 14. Elvis died in the 70s. And I went from Elvis to more heavy music, shall we say. I became a metalhead in a way. I went into Kiss in a big, huge way, and a lot of these bands on the list from the heavy metal soundtrack. Um, Groups like Kiss and Cheap Trick and Journey, all on here. Sammy Hagar, huge. I have tons of Sammy Hagar and still do. I just love the way that music makes you feel. It just digs in and grabs you. Still love a lot of heavy metal and heavier types of music. We'll talk more about that in a minute. The late 70s and early 80s, my music taste changed quite a bit, and I started getting into a lot of the college radio scene. I was at end of high school in the early 80s, and going to college really, really, really picked up on this guy. Gary Newman changed the way I listen to music in a big, huge way, going from huge guitar driven stuff to weird, introspective music. Um, Ironically, my least favorite song on here is Cars. There's way better Gary Newman stuff than Cars, folks, just so you know. Um, but groups like REM and uh, new wave in general, REM, college radio, Smiths. I played Smiths endlessly. Really got into a lot of the MTV 120 minutes types of groups. It really broadened my perspectives on music and probably still do to this day. Um, Going past college, I discovered this little band called My Bloody Valentine. This came out in '89, I think. But I will say shoegaze started to really become an area of interest to me in a big, huge way. The fuzz, the reverb, the buried vocals, and again, the way it makes you feel just listening to it, it just digs deep. Um, that wall of sound feeling that comes from albums like this. Ironically, I bought this on cassette when it first came out, hated it. Absolutely hated it. I was like, what is this? This is noise. It's garbage. Who would listen to this? Over repeated playings, it started to unfold, and it's just like I love music that has tons of layers to it. And it just kind of like an onion, it just peels layer after layer, and you learn something new all the time. This is a great album for that. It's also an album that I find I have to play all the way through as is. Can't play just one song because it just flows. So albums that have flow, big thing for me. Probably talk a lot about shoegaze if I continue this channel and if it gets really good reception. We'll find out. I hope you're liking what you're hearing so far. So shoegaze is a huge influence in my music taste and my record collection by far. Going into the 2000s, I discovered that I was really, really, really getting into a lot of bands from England. Internet was becoming all the rage. You could start sampling music and things, and I discovered tons and tons of bands. One band never made it big in the States, but huge in England. Biffy Clyro. This is the Puzzle album. I actually saw them on this tour. They actually came to the United States and played here in Denver at a very tiny place, about 50 people. Met them. They signed stuff for me. It was amazing. But I also went to England twice and saw them once at Reading Festival and another show in Cambridge. The day that Infinity Land, the album before this, came out, and I saw that. That was amazing. So, quirky bands that came out of the UK became my MO for a very long time and still is. I love bands like Feeder, not big in the United States. Prog influenced bands like Amplifier that nobody seems to know who they are. I have all their albums. So just I like really interesting out there music that doesn't really fit the mold. That being said, I still like listening to radio in general. I'm also into jazz. I have a lot of the jazz staples, things like that. We'll talk some about that. I'm thinking about keeping this series as a take five for a while and talk about 5 albums on a theme. 5 jazz albums that rock my world. 5 albums for a Sunday lie-in, if you will. We'll see where it comes. Questions for you. What albums define your taste in music? What has defined it, and has it changed over the years? And what other Take Five themes might you like to hear from me? If you'd like to hear them all, I hope you do. So like, subscribe. We'll talk to you more later. Bye for now.